President Tinubu commends Obasani for improved security and stability across Kaduna State.
Chief of Defense Staff advocates for a robust civil-military partnership.
Secretary to the Government of the Federation to work with all key stakeholders to bring lasting peace in Benue.
And on Good Morning Nigeria, today we shall focus on partnership to eliminate cervical cancer in Nigeria.
Early signs of cervical cancer may not always be obvious, but some critical signs to look out for include painful urination, vaginal discharge outside of your monthly cycle, or indeed some others that may not show up immediately.
Indeed, the signs will call for pelvic examination. Cervical cancer may appear as an abnormal growth on the surface of the cervix. The growth may be flat or raised as the cancer progresses. Now, the cervix may become swollen and bleed easily upon contact, and the swelling may vary in color.
Indeed, visible signs of cervical cancer may include also abnormal vaginal bleeding, such as bleeding after intercourse, between menstrual periods, or even after menopause, as well as unusual discharge, as mentioned earlier.
Of course, in addition, other possible signs of cervical cancer include pain in the lower back, leg swelling, weight loss, fatigue, and may spread to the bones, which comes with dull ache, or if you like, a stabbing pain.
But the good news is that cervical cancer can be cured if diagnosed and treated early. Of course, recognizing symptoms and seeking medical advice to address concerns is one critical step.
And in a bid to eliminate cervical cancer in Nigeria by 2030, the federal government inaugurated the National Task Force on Cervical Cancer under the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare to cooperate with health organizations and development partners. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria, the last for the week. I'm Ian Ray John.
And I am Victor Azu. Thank you very much for joining us this Friday morning, the very last for this week. We're reaching you live from Abuja on the network service of the NTA, and shortly we will join Musa Abubakar for highlights of the morning news, and later on the newspaper review. For now, it's Musa's game. Good morning to you, Musa.
Good morning, and thank God it's Friday. Here's the news. President Bola Tinubu has commended Governor Obasani for the improved security resulting in noticeable peace and stability across Kaduna State. The president acknowledged the development as he addressed people of Kaduna at the Murtala Square during his state visit to the state.
We will do everything to ensure that we achieve the vision of progress, prosperity. I will not forget the fact that the Light Rail project is there. We're going to do it, and we'll do it together. We will soon launch a comprehensive agenda on that.
Meanwhile, the presidency has commended the Kaduna State government for keying into the presidential compressed natural gas (CNG) initiative at easing the cost of transportation on the masses. Vice Chairman of the PCNG, Toyin Sabai, at the inauguration of 100 CNG-powered buses for intra-city transportation in Kaduna State, said the initiative is also intensifying efforts at making conversion and service centers more affordable across the country.
MDGIF, the downstream gas fund, to make sure that investments are put in place in infrastructure to be able to enable all of these kinds of investments happen.
Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, has expressed profound appreciation to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for his timely visit to Benue State, despite his tight schedule, assuring that he will work with all the key stakeholders to bring lasting peace in the state in line with his directives. The SGF commended the President's courageous initiative to witness firsthand the incessant conflicts faced by the state and to reaffirm the government's dedication to resolve the ongoing conflicts. During his visit, the President engaged with key stakeholders at a town hall meeting where crucial matters towards tackling the lingering killings in the bud were ironed out in order to restore peace in the state. The Progressive Governors Forum says President Bola Tinubu's security approach to ending incessant killings in Benue State and parts of the country conforms with the resolution of 20 states governors on the platform of the governing party. The forum commends President Tinubu for his assuring speech and swift detail of chiefs of security services to deploy measures of containing the breakdown of law. Governor Hope Uzodinma describes the President's directives on the creation of state police, transformation of grazing reserves, and other steps to restore peace and highly commendable.
It's a planned action to stop further killings and violence, not only in Benue State, but almost in every part of the country.
The Armed Forces of Nigeria has underscored the urgent need for a robust civil-military partnership in the face of Nigeria's complex security challenges, from terrorism and banditry to cyber threats and communal conflicts. The Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa re-echoed this at the maiden annual Defense Headquarters Civil-Military Relations Conference in Abuja.
I shift from a purely kinetic force-based approach to one that prioritizes trust, building, respect for human rights, and community partnership.
And those are the news highlights for now. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Henry and Victor after the break.
Have you heard the news? The federal government of Nigeria, through its direct benefit transfer program, has started the disbursement of 75,000 naira per household in 3 installments of 25,000, 25,000, 25,000 naira. Each recipient must have a validated national identification number, NIN, to receive the payment on behalf of their household members. To benefit, your household must be in the National Social Register of Poor and Vulnerable Households in Nigeria. The federal government's direct benefit transfer program is helping to reduce the effect of suffering while promoting financial and economic inclusion for the poor and vulnerable population in Nigeria.
Ìjọba fún wa ní 75,000 ọ̀nà ní àti káàdì láti lọ gbà. Nígbà tí mo sì gbà, mo ń fi ṣe nǹkan tó dáa, mo ra oògùn nínú rẹ̀, mo ra oúnjẹ tí màá jẹ nínú rẹ̀, ó sì ọkọ mi náà ń bẹ. A sì fi yòókù ṣe ọrọ̀ ajé pé ká tó máa rí dé bá. A dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ìjọba wa òkè.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, in collaboration with the National Social Investment Programs Agency, National Social Safety Net's Coordinating Office, and the National Cash Transfer Office.
A new edition of TV Guide is out, featuring an impeccable personality with purposeful leadership.
Abba Abubakar Aliu, MD, CEO of Rural Electrification Agency, takes us through the gamuts of activities and mandates of Rural Electrification Agency, as well as its achievements and dreams.
I really want to see that I leave a lasting legacy that can be spoken of in a very long period of time.
Welcome to a world of fun and excitement as we also present an assemblage of professionals in the media space. Some compelling NTA programs, current trends in the fashion world, ICT, sports, entertainment, and lots more.
Meet Professor Charles Anosike, the Director General and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, as he shares his vision in repositioning NIMET as a key player in Nigeria's climate strategy.
Get a copy at the vendor near you or any NTA station nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
Why do you need Dettol's 12-hour protective shield?
Why? Oh yeah, come. Let me show you. From the risk of picking up germs in every corner to receiving those notes everyone has touched and that sweaty hug from an old friend. What else can give you all day long protection?
Germs are everywhere, but Dettol's 12-hour protective shield shields your family every day, keeping them safe,
Healthy, happy, and successful.
Dettol, be 100% sure.
Our major currency unit is the Naira, while the minor unit is the Kobo. They are both in notes and coins. The Naira is more than just a medium of exchange. It bears the images of our heroes. So, stop abusing the Naira. It is a criminal offense to spray the Naira at events. Stop stepping on the Naira. It's not your enemy. Do not squeeze, ruffle, or write on the Naira. Handling the Naira with dirty or oily hands can deface the Naira. Love the Naira as you love yourself. Be a real Nigerian. Do not abuse the Naira.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
The Nigerian national flag represents our country's history, culture, and identity. It was designed in 1959. The colors are Emerald Green 2.0, which represents agriculture, and Immaculate White represents unity and peace. Know how to handle our flag. Illuminate the environment or don't fly the flag overnight. Do not fly a dirty or tattered flag. Take such flag to the nearest National Orientation Agency office for proper disposal and replacement. The national flag can only be flown at half-mast on the directive of the federal government. The national flag must be flown at the same or higher height when displayed alongside other flags. Don't burn or allow the national flag to fall on the ground. Do not print, decorate, modify, or insert the coat of arms on the flag. Our national heroes are not buried with the flag. They are honored by presenting it to their next of kin during interment. Respect our national flag. Be a real Nigerian.
This message was brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
Survey says if my phone rings at 2 a.m., it's probably an emergency. Landlord.
Achalugo. I will give you 1.5 million. After you smile finish, I will add extra 1.5 million just for you to move around. I will not add extra 2 million naira. Just for you to call me your dogu.
Family Feud Nigeria Season 3 is officially live.
All right, many thanks for remaining tuned. It's now time for newspaper review.
man of the moment, Chukwudo Kolobaja, is in the studio. Are you in the studio?
Man of the moment.
Or in the building?
Man of the moment.
That sounds really good.
I'll bear it like a signpost throughout my day in Abuja today.
But it's your moment.
Yeah.
You're man of this moment.
It's detracting and reducing a full compliment. Good morning, my dear. How are you doing?
Sir. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Very well.
Morning,
I receive it.
I know that kind of greeting. It's common amongst women. All right, let's see what the papers have this morning. We begin with the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust leads with Tinubu to choose running mate after convention. That's credited to the presidency. Above that, just below the masthead, we have Benue residents, Harvard killers, give them food. Shocking, coming from the defense chief, and details can be found on page 6. That's an update on the Benue crisis, of course. On page 20, you can see the details of this headline. Ground rent, that's the kicker. FCTA silent as 14-day grace period expires. All right, and Obasani turned Kaduna from toxic zone to hub of progress, and that's according to the president. Of course, we have a picture story here, and that's showing the fantastic work of the governor of Borno State and all that he's been doing so far. All right, Victor.
All right, and we have the leadership also, the Leadership Friday. The lead story reads, amid rising insecurity, armed forces committed to your safety, FG assures Nigerians, and that story is on page 4. It has a few riders, 6,260 terrorists killed, 5,365 civilians rescued in 2 years. That's credited to the DHQ. And NAF destroys terrorist IED factory, gun trucks in Borno. And CDS urges Nigerians to partner military, comments the media. I will receive that. Okay, and above the nameplate, unfair practices, FCCPC seals France, Belgium, Italy visa centers. That's page 25 if you want details. And on page 30, FG arraigns Senator Natasha over alleged defamation. Interesting times. And okay, this time one talked just into the nameplate. Oba of Benin receives looted 119 artifacts from the Netherlands, is on page 4. And finally, we'll work with stakeholders to restore peace in Benue. It's credited to the SGF, George Akume, and the details you can find on page 8. A mammoth crowd welcomes Governor Abba Yusuf on his return from Hajj as Kano residents rally support for his second-term bid. Is the picture story on the front of the Leadership Friday. Chukwudi.
Let me start from the rather obscure. If MKO Abiola were still alive, I'm not sure that returning artifacts will satisfy him enough. Remember, he was pushing for reparations to Africa, you know, to compensate for the slave trade and all that. But it's a good thing that the white man, all of them, has finally realized that taking those precious carvings, those precious African items, artwork, you know, was simply tantamount to looting. That's it. So it's a good thing. I remember when we visited the Obi of Isiluku then, you know, beautiful Sosemen of blessed memory.
Okay.
The Festa symbol, which they couldn't get, the Queen Idia, you know, yeah. The male version was in the palace of my king, the Bini carving. Actually, when this controversy of you claim you are from Benin and all that, is one of the things we canvass. And we also tell you that my people, people of Isiluku, people who really Isiluku are from Ishefbe, and they are from Ihek by Benin. But going back to the artifacts, you might say, artifacts, what are they for? They are a big deal to tourism. That's it. So I am happy that this is finally happened. Let's go to security. Armed forces committed to your safety, FG assures Nigerians. Then the armed forces listing 6,260 terrorists killed, 5,365 civilians rescued in 2 years. They are subtly saying that we have not folded our arms. This war against terrorism is usually an intractable matter that they are working. But again, I am more interested in what Tinubu said when he got to Benue. He was surprised that no arrests have been made. No arrests have been made. So if you look at the People's Daily, go after criminals. Tinubu orders Army, Police, DSS. There is no political interpretation you're going to give them the mayhem in Benue, Jos, and the rest of it that would justify what is happening there. It is pure homicide happening. Fine, if there's a native settler controversy, that the round table will handle that. But in the meantime, no one has a right to snuff the life out of his neighbor in quest of God knows what. That's my take on that
and
matter.
The vital question the president asked was, why aren't there any arrests?
Arrests?
Yes,
People should remember that question for a long time. There are no arrests yet. That tells you that a lot of water is really going under the bridge. This time it's rather innoxious, you know. It's just not right. It's just not right.
And then the sealing of France, Belgium, Italy visa sentence over unfair practices. I'm not sure what the details are just yet.
Yeah,
that looks.
I see that my friend Tunji Bello is in the news there. That's his organization. I got one Nokia phone through this wonderful journalist way back in time. I'm not sure you had joined journalism then.
Well, I know you to be a journalist.
So they are one of the things they're complaining about is that when some issues were tabled before them. They even went as far as assaulting officers of the FCCPC. At the end of the day, that statement keeps dropping from my lips. What is important is that somebody is not impugning our laws concerning what the mandate of this organization is. I know Tunji Bello. He's a very fair man, wonderful journalist then, you know. But he got into governance rather early when we were still in Lagos. I'm sure that in his quiet manner, he doesn't shout like Chukwudi Okoliubaja. He doesn't talk a lot, you know. But he is utterly effective in terms of pursuing whatever he thinks should be looked into, you know. So let them sort it out. There's one where Wike is actually accusing some big men in Abuja of not paying it was Demola I told the other time that the real
big men are biggest problem.
They are the problem when it comes to the ground rent they're talking about. Those massive buildings, the window of which Victor cannot buy, they don't pay their ground rent. Impunity is always the companion in terms of
as perks of politics.
Exactly. How does government make money? It's not from your pay as you earn. How much do they get from your... So these rates and levies are very important. People should take them seriously for government to function. I mentioned the other time that my friend in California said, we pay a lot of bills there, but you'll see what you're paying the bills for. He said, I went into this California suburb. Within 10 years, they developed it into a big metropolis. That is accountability. Pay these bills so that government can function.
And I understand we have a third paper, the Business NG, and it leads with this bold headline, Investors Rush, banking stocks hit 677 billion naira. 677 billion naira gain despite CBN dividend suspension. And the rider dividend ban just noise. That's credited to analysts, is the big story here.
The analysts are intoning or saying that it's all a smoke screen. It's not real. Because I wanted to say that that's good for the economy. If there's this rush for investment in shareholding, as it were, Well,
if there is.
I've not read that story. But Victor, if you'll permit me, Tinubu confers CFR honor on Dangiwa Umar, apologizes for omission. I pursued that man for 2 years, trying to give him through Luxterra Foundation an honor we think he deserves. He'll just I don't know why he calls me doctor. He'll just tell me, doctor, it's okay. And he never ever accepts. He's a self-effacing man. Remember, that's the man who left governance because of what he thought was not right, going to June 12. Dangiwa Umar is a notable and honorable Nigerian. I'm going to send him a message.
You have touched on all the headlines basically on the papers, but I'm surprised that you have not talked about this running mate issue.
This man is a journalist. I try as much as I can not to get into the world of politicians because I don't ever understand them. I wouldn't do well as a politician. I know that. Don't go telling one pastor to pray for me. It won't work, But at the end of the day, it's come again. Ultimately, what you are looking at is a situation where the principal gets nominated and he says, this is the man I think I can work with. At a stage in management, even if Victor is the most brilliant person in NTA, there are certain things they will look for in him to give him that top job. It was Pat Utomi. I asked him a question. I said, how can you be so hardworking in an organization? And they seem to edge you out when it comes to very important things. I'm sure I was complaining about my experience. He told me, he was talking from America then. He said, you get to a stage of management, and if people have any inkling concerning your loyalty, if it's not complete, if you make A, you will make it.
True.
So, picking a running mate, there are so many considerations. The person who gets nominated, who would become the principal, there are so many considerations they bring into play. I know that the party structure, of course, remember Biden and Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi was one of the very strong voices in terms of who to, they later, endorsed this woman, Obama and the rest of them. But it took some time. So the party does come in. But ultimately, it is the principle that should determine whom he wants to work with. Compatibility matters a lot.
But I think comparing U.S. politics and Nigerians is entirely different.
What are you trying to say?
The party alliance.
We are a big democracy on the African continent.
All right, that's about it. Many thanks, Chukudi. We'll take a break. Many thanks. We'll see you next week. Of course.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so have a well-deserved rest this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get into the conversation this morning. We're talking about cervical cancer. Stay with us.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we sway in colors, with undying deeper, we make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Ethnicity is unique, we have more than destination.
We are Nigeria, we are Nigeria, strengthening unity, we know they carry lives. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
At
NTA Television College Jos, you will dive into exhilarating hands that will fuel your passion in education and propel your career to new heights. We don't just teach, we craft the next generation of media leaders. Explore our diverse offering, understanding the personnel matters and issues in the public service, basic development communication, financial reporting under IPSAS, and interpretation of public sector accounting standard IPSAS, audit, internal check and control management, video camera maintenance, new technologies, optics, fiber, IP technologies, automation, storage management, and wireless technology. Challenges and opportunities in the secretarial profession in the digital age. Digital marketing, basic drama, online reporting, understanding the provisions of the revised public service, audio engineering operations and maintenance, camera operations, and intermediate drama. Mark your calendar. The second quarter of 2025 is your launch pad. This is your moment to seize the future. Announcer management.
Hey Nigeria, ready to breathe cleaner air and save money? Let's talk about gas. Drive with CNG, the smart, cost-effective choice. Fill up for less and travel further. Save money, save the planet. Switch to LPG for cooking. It's cleaner, healthier, and better for environment. Say goodbye to smoke and eye problems. Do you know Nigeria is a gas nation ranked 9th globally with over 209 trillion cubic feet of gas reserve? Gas isn't just for cooking and driving. It powers industries too. Cleaner, cheaper, and more efficient. And the best part, conversion centers are popping up everywhere. It's never been easier to switch to gas. Join the cleaner energy revolution. Choose LPG for cooking and CNG for your vehicles. Clean energy for brighter future. This message is brought to you by the Office of the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, supported by the Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA.
The Nigeria Coat of Arms is the official seal that represents the authority of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, hung on the wall behind the seat of the principal officer of the government, supported by the portrait of the serving President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It has 7 features. The black shield stands for Good Earth of Nigeria. The silver wavy band stands for the confluence of rivers Niger and Benue. The 2 white horses stands for dignity. The yellow flora is a common wildflower throughout Nigeria. The red eagle stands for strength. The wreath is in our national colors of green, white, green. The motto, unity and faith, peace and progress, is written on a beautiful yellow ribbon, and it's a maxim for all Nigerians. Be a real Nigerian.
The federal government of Nigeria warns vandals of national assets, electricity transmission towers, cables, and other facilities to desist from this act of sabotage. Vandalism is a serious crime punishable under the law. Vandalizing electrical equipment will affect millions of Nigerians, including your loved ones. Remember that national assets belong to all of us, hence the need to protect them. Report all cases of suspicious movement around electrical facilities to security agencies. When you see something, say something. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation in collaboration with the National Counter-Terrorism Center, NCTC, Office of the National Security Advisor.
All right, welcome back. You're still watching Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the NTA. And just before we bring in our guest for a conversation on partnership to eliminate cervical cancer, let's take this background report put together by our correspondent Ibrahim Bello Gunda.
The incidence of cervical cancer in Nigeria is about 18.4 per 100 women, with an estimated 12,075 women diagnosed every year. This makes cervical cancer the second leading cause of female cancer deaths in Nigeria, leading to call for action by stakeholders. Hence the inauguration of the partnership to eliminate cervical cancer in Nigeria, aimed at accelerating the elimination process. This national multi-stakeholders initiative is led by the National Task Force on Cervical Cancer Elimination under the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, and the initiative aligns with the World Health Organization's 90-70-90 targets for cervical cancer elimination by 2030. The initiative is designed to be a broad-based partnership bringing together various sectors including government, health organizations, civil society, and development partners. Other key stakeholders include the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, the Nigeria Governors Forum, the World Health Organization, Gavi, UNICEF, and the Private Sector Health Alliance of Nigeria, among others, with the aim of bringing to an end the scourge of cervical cancer in Nigeria. According to available statistics, Nigeria will need 2.2 trillion naira to implement comprehensive cervical cancer interventions between 2026 to 2030, with the interventions under the initiative grouped into three categories of primary prevention through vaccination, secondary prevention through screening, and tertiary, which is treatment. How important is this robust cervical cancer elimination intervention? How can the program ensure that every woman is free from cervical cancer? And what are the prospects of the partnership to eliminate cervical cancer in Nigeria? This will set tune for discussion as our guests are already seated in the studio.
All right, many thanks, Ibrahim Bello Gunda, for that background report on partnership to eliminate cervical cancer in Nigeria. Now seated here, I'd like to introduce Professor Usman Malami Aliyu, who is the... Okay. I guess I'm... Yuri, you have that.
All right, Bector, seated with us is Dr. Usman Waziri, Director, Cancer Prevention and Control, NICRAT. Many thanks for joining us, Doctor.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
All right, and also joining us for the conversation via Zoom from Ibadan is Professor Isaac Adewale, the Chairman, National Task Force on Cervical Cancer Elimination. Many thanks for joining us, Prof.
Morning.
And we also have Dr. Rekia Saidu, who is a Senior Clinical Research Officer at the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, University of Cape Town. She joins us via Zoom from Kano. A pleasure to welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning, thank you.
So Professor Isaac Adewale, first and foremost, good to see you again. I'd like you to run us through what this National Task Force on Cervical Cancer Elimination is all about. What is your mandate? I understand it's a 4-year time frame. What do you intend to achieve at the end of the day? And how do you think we can eliminate cervical cancer through this initiative?
Thank you so much. On August 2024, the Honorable Minister of State for Health established the National Task Force for the elimination of cervical cancer in Nigeria. This is actually in alignment with the global elimination agenda established by WHO. So we went to work. The task force comprises eminent Nigerians who are versed in different aspects of this business, oncologists, advocates, leaders in various aspects. And we had a retreat in Lagos precisely on December 10 and 11. And we therefore decided that in order to achieve our objective, we needed to actually establish a movement. What we have established is beyond a partnership. We have established a movement to galvanize the entire nation to action. And so we then decided to bring together like minds on the Governors Forum, wives of the governors, technical agencies and development partners like WHO, China, Clinton Health Access Initiative in Nigeria, which is our main technical partner, societies like Nigerian Medical Association, Nigerian Cancer Society, Nurses and Midwifery Association of Nigeria, quite a host of other partners to come together. And we paid a courtesy visit on the First Lady on World Health Day, April 7, to seek our support for this initiative and to enlist our galvanizing support to lead and actually serve as a leader in this endeavor. And it is on record that this partnership was eventually unveiled on 3rd of June in Abuja. It's quite remarkable that this turned out to be a huge success. And our mandate is just one, to catalyze multi-sectoral action on prevention, on screening, on treatment, through sustained coordination, resource mobilization, and service delivery scale-up across the country. That is what we are supposed to do. I'm sure you are aware that actions are ongoing in different parts of the country, in teaching hospitals, primary and secondary centers, but what we want to have is a coordinated action. And we are lucky to have the Nigerian Institute for Cancer Research and Treatment as our umbrella organization and support base. And this has given us the backbone to go into action. Thank you.
Professor Adewale, we thank you for your opening remarks. And let me get to Dr. Waziri here. Your organization is saddled primarily with dealing with cancer. Where are we at the moment?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Quite sure the National Institute for Cancer Research and Treatment is as an agency of government, is a sole agency of government that is saddled with the responsibility of leading the fight against the menace of cancer in Nigeria. Though a baby institute, but with the support and cooperation as well as goodwill of the federal government under our mother ministry, the Federal Ministry of Health, I think the country has really moved steps ahead. Most of other countries in the area of cancer as prevention, control, as well as research initiatives to curtail the menace of cancer. In line with the mandate of the Institute, from 2023 to date, the Institute has made a significant effort to really galvanize and streamline coordinated activities against cancer in the country. Identifying data as a bedrock of what every country as a nation needs to plan, to strategize, and to base policy and practice, the Institute has gone far in ensuring we strengthen data collection in the area of cancer so that we can have a robust data that will guide research and inform policy formulation, which are country-specific in addressing the menace of cancer. And it's in line with that, the part of the prior baseline assessment that was conducted in the country, which the Institute, as an agency of the government, through the support of the government, has initiated such a collaborative and intersectoral approach to cancer care. One of such is last year that we had what we call impact review to assess the country preparedness as well as efforts and our capacity in fighting the menace of cancer. So, and with that, we've come up with a lot of preliminary findings, part of which informed the formulation as well as strengthening collaboration through the Federal Ministry of Health, such as the Partnership for the Elimination of Cervical Cancer in the country.
All right, many thanks, Doctor, for your opening comments and what NICRAT is doing. I'd like to get to Dr. Rekia Saidu now. Listening to Prof speak and the doctor speak, what comes to my mind is how we can actually eliminate cervical cancer in Nigeria. I'm asking that because statistics show at the moment that 14,943 women are diagnosed with cervical cancer each year. And that's just, if you like, that's just minimal because only very few women even go for screening in the first place. So, and the statistics says that about 10,000 deaths are recorded, out of those women who are, diagnosed with cervical cancer. So my question to you, Dr. Saidu, is if this initiative is going to work, how are we going to ensure that every woman is screened? Because without screening, first and foremost, I mean, you can't deal with it.
Yes, you're right. So when WHO met and all stakeholders, including our boss here, Professor Adeole, he was one of the people that came up with this elimination of cervical cancer program across the whole world. Because if you listen to the Director General of WHO, he said, and we all know that all the science has been done. We know that this is a cancer. It is actually one of the cancers, the very first cancer that we can actually eliminate, because we know what causes this cancer, we know how to prevent it, and we know how to treat it. So if you have these tools in your hand, and we've got these tools, but the problem is for us to get coordinated and put these tools together so that we can be able to eliminate this cancer. And all the studies that have been done show that if we take 3 approaches, if every country on the planet takes these three approaches and we sustain them by the year 2030, we are on the road to eliminating cervical cancer as a public health problem. One thing with cervical cancer is that it is a disease of poor countries. It is not a disease of the wealthy countries, it's a disease of poor countries. So it's a disease of Africa, it's a disease of Asia, it's a disease of low and middle income countries. And that is why it is important that I tell you, if we in Nigeria stand up and pull the strings to eliminate cervical cancer, most of the world will see that cervical cancer is almost gone out of extinction, gone extinct to be extinct. So one of the main things is, the first thing is to vaccinate girls. So when you vaccinate girls, you are now protecting the future woman. So these girls are vaccinated, preferably at an early age before they get exposed to sex, so that virus they can be prevented from acquiring the virus in the first place. Because we know the cause of cervical cancer is a virus called human papilloma virus, and that is why this vaccination against human papilloma virus. Now, the other thing is the screening, and that is the most important, especially for us. So screening is when a woman who is well, so we are not waiting for symptoms to happen, because in cervical cancer, when you begin to see symptoms of bleeding or other symptoms, it means it has already gone far, and that is the problem. And that is why most of the women who come for cervical and they are diagnosed with cervical cancer, you find that it has already gone very far, and then it kills. So what we want to do is to screen women who do not have any symptom at all. So you can just walk into a center and say you want to get screened. So when a woman screens, because from what we know of cervical cancer, it gives us time. And that is the time we need to screen. From the time a woman gets the virus to the time it becomes a cervical cancer, it can take up to 10, 15 years or even more. So what we want to do is during that time, we screen all women. And that is why we want to start screening women. And that is what other countries have done. The high-income, rich countries have done to reduce the incidence of cervical cancer in their countries, is to do consistent screening. So when we screen a woman and the cervix is fine, then after a certain time, we do screen again to check if anything has gone wrong, because it gives us a sign before it becomes cancer, and that is when you want to pick it. And that is why it is important. Once it becomes a cancer, and once it has gone far, there's virtually nothing you can do. And the third arm of eliminating this cancer is to make sure that if you screen a woman and you find abnormality, that abnormality is treated at that time. But also, if a woman comes with cancer, a cancer that is already formed into cancer, she gets some form of treatment, because that will delay the progress of the disease. And so those are the three main methods that we also have to follow in this country. But like I said, the important thing is to screen all these 60 million women that we say are at risk of having cervical cancer. We must be able to screen them to prevent them from developing cervical cancer in the first place. Thank you.
Fantastic. Interesting listening to you. It's easy with words, but when you say screen, do we have the facilities to ensure that every woman is screened? We're not just talking about urban areas. We're talking about the rural areas where, there's even no primary health care center. So how do we get every woman screened? Then you talked about the HPV, the human papilloma vaccine, against cervical cancer. There's a conspiracy theory about it. At the moment, the federal government government is giving it for free, but how many young women are accessing it? How many parents are taking their girls, to get this vaccine? So speak around all of this, because, I mean, the target is 2030, just 4 years down the line. How is this possible?
Yes, so that is the main mandate of this task force, is to make sure that that happens. So the first thing is that vaccination has started, and I tell you, it is doing well. So there are many conspiracy theories, like everything. And unfortunately, with social media, I mean, it gets out of hand. Because now once you take vaccination, when you talk about vaccination, everybody becomes a doctor who knows about vaccination, who knows the issues of vaccination. But a lot of research has been done. I will tell you that this vaccine that there's conspiracy theory about, it has been also in this country for about 20 years. If I can tell you that. And people who can afford it have been doing it. They have been vaccinating their kids. So now the government stepped up and said, okay, now there are many people in this country who can't afford this. And then with the help of development partners, this is now coming available to even children who cannot afford it. So what is important is we need to get out there. You need to help us in the media to talk to people so that we can spread the message. These vaccines are safe. They have been used, and some countries are almost eliminating cervical cancer in countries, in European countries, where they have been doing with these vaccinations. So we just need to trust our leaders, we need to trust our science and get it done. Now, when you talk about screening, that is also the very big mandate of the task force, because we need to make sure that every woman can get screened. And that is what we are putting in place now. I cannot tell you that we have everything adequate currently in the country. No, we need to put structures in place, but also these structures are things that can be done. They do not need an extremely expensive lab to do it. No, these are things that we can do, and the task force under Professor Adeoli is having a roadmap that we are going to be able to reach every woman in the village, every woman in her community, to screen her. We are not going to say, come to teaching hospital to screen. No, we are going to meet you where you are, and we are going to get you screened. But we need to plan, we need to coordinate, and that is what Prof and all of us in the task team are doing to see that this happens.
Professor Seidu, thank you very much for your input so far. Let me get back to Professor Adewale. Now, Prof, it's a big job you have on your hands, and I'm just thinking, elimination is such a strong word. So what are the milestones, or, talking about indicators that we would need to be looking at to show that we are on track to achieve, your mandate?
Thank you so much. The end point is actually a situation where we have an incidence of less than 4 per 100,000. Any country that is able to achieve that has actually achieved the elimination goal. But then for us in Nigeria, we've also set up milestones that will enable us to track progress. The number of people we are screening every year, the number of people we are vaccinating, and the number of people that we are treating. At the end of the year, what we plan to do is, for Nigeria, we have divided Nigeria into 3 groups. In the first year, we are going to do 12 states. In the second year, we'll do another 12 states. And in the third year, we'll do 12 states plus 1, giving us 36 plus 1, that's plus the FCT. But what we want to do at the end of the exercise is that we will have we will have vaccinated 40 million girls. We will have screened 40 million young girls, and that's about 8 million every year, and that's why we are calling it 8x8 strategy. And we will have treated about 10 million women for either pre-malignant lesions of the cervix and about 60,000 cases of real cancers. So we have figures, we have targets, and we've done costing to achieve this. Thank you.
Adewale, if you say that, you're ready to address all of this, how do you intend to address cultural and social barriers, that are hindering women at the moment from accessing, the basic medical healthcare, attention and all of that. Now this is cancer. How do you want to break all of those barriers?
Talking
about culture and then the social limitations.
As stated by Dr. Rekia Seidu, this is a collective job for all of us. We know quite well that just about 30% of Nigerians are aware of cervical cancer, and only about 13% have ever been screened. So it's a huge task, yes. But one of the major committees that we've established within the task force is a communication committee. So we believe that we need to reach out, we need to break barriers, we need to engage major stakeholders, we need to partner with the media. And this committee, which is the communication committee, is headed by one of your veterans, Chief Mrs. Mujima Kanjuola. So we recognize the importance of networking and partnership, building alliances. And so we do not believe that this is going to be an easy task, but we're up to it.
Adewale, thank you very much. Let me get back here in the studio with Dr. Seidu. Now, how is NICRAT able to engage primary health care centers, community centers to improve awareness in all of this?
Yes, as an agency, the Institute is already partnering with sister agency, the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, which is like the custodian of the primary healthcare facilities, along with the state primary healthcare agencies. In the area of communication and awareness creation, in the area of demand creation, we are equally extending beyond health sector. We've partnered with state ministries of education. We partner with traditional councils within the country. That has actually started by the Institute since last year. So which is an opportunity for the partnership to really leverage on, as well as the Institute also to get significant learnings from the wide sector approach of the partnership for the elimination of cervical cancer. Just last year, we've had a pilot program where we focused on community engagement, behavioral evaluation, as well as behavioral science research, at the primary healthcare level as well as the school-based level. This is to assess people's perception, knowledge, and cultural beliefs as well as attitude towards cervical cancer as vaccine as well as cervical cancer screening activities. And quite a lot of learnings have actually gotten from that, which we should share with the partnership when we concluded on the final output of that research and the findings, along with our sister partnering agencies. So in the area of, in the area of awareness creation also, the Institute has already outlined and set up strategies for community-based engagement and sensitizations. In this year specifically, the Institute plans to do community-based engagement through traditional rulers as well as religious leaders. This has yielded significant result in the terms of healthcare intervention, as we can see through, as we've witnessed during the polio campaign. And along with that also, as Professor Adewale rightly said, the Institute is at the forefront of the implementation component or stage or phase of the partnership. And whatever the recommendations and the findings of the Committee on Awareness Creation, Publicity, Community Sensitization, the Institute will leverage on those findings and will partner along as a partner, work hand in hand with the partnership to ensure the implementation as well as the success of this community engagement, which is really a bedrock for attitudinal change that will lead to significant uptake of most of these services, the three-pronged approach that we are employing to mitigate against cervical cancer.
All right, many thanks, Dr. Waziri. Let's get back to Dr. Seidu now. Like we always say, prevention is better than cure, and you already spoke about prevention. But I'm thinking, aside the human papillomavirus vaccine, that's the HPV vaccine, what other ways can cervical cancer be prevented?
Okay. So, like I said, we know that the cause of this cancer is a virus, human papilloma virus. This virus is sexually acquired, but for most people, both men and women, they clear it. Now, the other thing is that this virus can cause also other things, also in men, but the most important thing it causes is the cervix cancer in women. So, the virus itself, once it gets to the body, there are things that kind of help it. For example, smoking. So we discourage women from smoking, even though smoking is not very common in this country, but there are still some women that smoke. Issues like having infections that will damper the system, the immune system, for example, HIV infection. And that is why people who are HIV positive, they actually should get more screening because they tend to get this cancer earlier, even in their life, and faster than women who are not HIV positive. So HIV is very important. And like everything, we need to take care of our bodies. We need to understand, women need to understand their vaginal hygienes. They need to take care of their bodies. They need to take care of their feeding. Nutrition is also important. But like I said, the important thing is we need to protect our sexual health. So we need to be faithful to our partners. We need to, if a woman has HIV, it's not a death sentence. She can get treatment, and that may also help protect her from having cancer of the cervix and other cancers that can come with HIV. But I'll tell you that the most important prevention is awareness. I tell you, if people are aware, when we talk about cultural barriers, we talk about, it's because people are getting misinformed. If we sit down and put out a true information that people will understand, in a language that they will understand, people will will take care of themselves and prevent this from happening. And that vaccination is one of the key things to prevent young people from having this infection and having this cancer. I've had many programs in Hausa here in Kano, and I tell you, people call in and say, oh, we didn't know it was like that, even for the vaccine. Oh, we didn't know. People do not know. So the important thing is we must get them know. And honestly, that work is yours. You just have to get us to get to people to tell them the correct information in a way that they will understand. That is the biggest way to prevent this cancer and any other thing, actually.
I hope Dr. Adewale would incorporate me and Victor, into this whole scheme. Since you've given us another job, and that's a great one. I'm sure Victor is willing to buy into it. But still talking about prevention, Dr. Seidu, the HPV, does it have an expiry? I mean, if a child of 9, I think 9 to 12 or 9 to 15, give us the age bracket that is supposed to take the HPV, and then when you take it at that age, does it expire much later in life? Do you need a booster dose, like happens with some other vaccines? And then the pap smear, where you have to, that women, you have to carry out to check, the screening process. Is it something that has to be done, say, every 2 years or 3 years? I mean, once you're screened once, does that mean that you're safe forever? Speak about that.
Yeah. So for the vaccine, when the vaccine started initially in the early 2000s, we used to give them in 3 doses. And up to now, there is no scientific proof to say people require a booster dose. So now, over time, many researches have taken place, and as the vaccine has started, the children that have started in the early 2000s, they are now young women, they are being followed up. They still do not require a booster dose. In fact, now all studies are tending to show that we actually may require only 1 dose. So from 3 doses, we have come down to 1 dose for the children that are aged between 9 to 14, depending on the country, because you can adjust the ages, but between 9 to 14 are the best ages because most young ladies are not yet sexually active. But there's what they call the catch-up immunization. Now, the government on its side, because of resource issues, they are able to offer free for the girls that are between the 9 to 14 years. But studies have also shown that this vaccine can also be good for ladies who are older than that, up to the age of 26, in some countries up to the age of 30, but government cannot give that one free because these vaccines don't come cheap also. So if people can afford, they can do it. So what we advocate is for the young girls, 9 to 14, to have the vaccine. They require only 1 dose. now that we are doing it. They do not require a booster dose after that. Now for the screening, so older women should have screening. So any woman who is sexually active should start having screening. We are going to bring out a guideline that will say, okay, so now the tests have also shifted. We are no longer talking about pap smear because we find that it is logistically challenging to us as a country to do pap smear, and actually for most low-income countries to do pap smear. So we are now moving to a better test. Now, because we are low-income doesn't mean we should just do anything that we think we are doing something. No, we have to do something that there's proof, there's evidence that it actually prevents cervical cancer, and that is why we are looking at testing for the virus, the HPV test. So this test, when you test for the virus, you will see whether the woman has this virus or not. Sometimes there's a disease already appearing. Like I told you, it takes time before it becomes cancer, but it can show some form of disease happening. We give them treatment when we find that. Now, how often do you do it? What we advocate is if it is HPV test, because this test is if the test is negative, really that woman is negative, we can do it everything between 5 to 10 years again. So if I do it now in 2025, I can do another test in 2030. But I can also, depending on the country, we give the duration, the interval of doing the test. So it's between 5 years to 10 years in between tests. But if we are able to screen a woman twice in her lifetime, at the age of 35 and the age of 45, even that is well enough. You'll be able to protect the woman. So we screen HPV test, which is a good test, a very good test. At the ages of 35 and the ages of 45, we are good to go. But if we can afford to do more, that is also perfect. So the barest minimum is what I'm telling you. We do 1 single dose for the vaccine for young girls ages 9 to 14. 1 dose of the vaccine is okay. They do not need booster dose. And then for the women, we do screening at least twice in their lifetime, and they may not need another screening if all is well. If we find something, of course, they go into the treatment, and then we keep following them up to make sure that they clear the virus and they clear, if there's any disease that needs to be removed, we remove it before it becomes a cancer.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rekia. Let me get back to Professor Adewale now. Prof, you are likely to find that one of the biggest challenges that you would have in doing your job is coordinating all tiers of government and also including non-state actors. So how are you ensuring that there's a strong partnership with the state governments, local governments, and non-state actors so that you can reach the people that you are supposed to reach wherever they may be?
Thank you so much. We are quite aware of the health system architecture in Nigeria, and we also recognize the importance of subnationals in this engagement process. And that is why, in forming the partnership, we had the governors. In fact, at the launch of PESIN, the chairman of the Governors Forum was represented by the governor of Imo State, who is actually the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum. So the governors were represented. We had all the commissioners in attendance. That to us is a big boost. So with commissioners in attendance, with governors engaged, I think we are good to go at the sub-national, that's at state level. But we are going to go below the state. We're also going to engage local government. So currently we are at what we called the construction stage, where we are building the blocks, we are developing the infrastructure for this partnership and for national and sub-national engagement. So we are aware of this.
Very much. Dr. Waziri, now what has been your assessment of the reception to HPV vaccines across the country, and how are you ensuring that it goes round?
Yes, quite sure despite the challenges of the misconception, myths, and a lot of misinformation about the vaccination, which has been in existence. As I said earlier, during the last year's activity where we run a pilot across the 6 geopolitical zone, it was a school-based campaign. At the level of the institute, we realized that most of this target age group, girls 9 to 14, are at school. Okay. So in the course of that pilot, we run, as I said earlier, interacts extensively with the school community, which comprises of the teachers, the parents, the community leaders, and even some of these students themselves. And it was really fascinating. Despite this anticipated challenge, quite sure they are there, but the willingness that was demonstrated then is quite commendable. Major thing we found definitely was the misinformation about the link between the vaccine and some other associated side effects or intentional harms, which were demystified, and quite a number of people really came up. There was a monitoring and evaluation and learning strategy that was established and is still ongoing, because most of these have actually, there was significant improvement in terms of the number of cases coming up and demanding for this vaccination, to the extent that in some states, most especially even in the north, where most of these things are very prominent, though it's not limited to the north, even in the south, in the southern part also we've gotten that, but still with that MEL program, monitoring, evaluation and learning, quite a number of them are coming. So all what it takes is demystifying and giving correct information, as rightly highlighted by Dr. Rekia, which you have a long task to really ensure. Once we set up a strategy to do that, quite a number of them are coming, and we've really gotten significant results, because the essence is demand creation. The MPHCDA is quietly in charge of immunization, but what we are doing is demand creation within the community where this target population are mostly found.
What's the place of NICRAT in this setting, in this task force?
Yes, the place of NICRAT is like, NICRAT is at the center stage of it all. What I mean by the center stage of it all is, as an agency of government, right from inception, right from the formulation, at the point of conceptualization, at the institute level, we realize that based on the baseline assessment, the key challenges to cancer care usually are mostly late diagnosis and access to care. And in the context and specifically in respect of cervical cancer, which is a vaccine preventable and a curable disease if detected early. Issue of vaccination, screening, and ensuring treatment. The 1970 strategy, when we look at the 1970 strategy, ensuring vaccination is the sole responsibility of an agency of government as the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, but of course, there is always an intersectoral and interagency collaboration. So the role of NICRAT in that is, one, demand creation, ensuring that there's that demand creation, as well as collaborating with all other sister agencies, both local and international partners, streamlining coordination and activities in ensuring that these children are well vaccinated, or we have gotten coverage of that 90% as set out by the WHO. In the area of screening, that's where the task is huge and enormous on the institute. As an agency that's solely responsible with cancer prevention, treatment and control, as well as research, ensuring treatment and access to treatment, as well as patients, women are screened, is really a sole responsibility which cannot be done alone by the institute, and that was what prompted the formation of this partnership.
All right,
so the institute is at the center state of it all. So,
all right, you are at the center stage. You talked about the fact that the mates, you're shattering some of the mates about the HPV vaccine. One of them is that it leads to infertility. Has the institute been able to establish that girls who have taken this vaccine, I'm sure maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago, are actually fertile? Just so that people do not get scared, because they're like, okay, when the child is 9, it takes another 20 years or to be sure if the child will be fertile or not. Speak to us about that. Have you done your research? Have you carried out? Do you have proof that that myth is absolutely wrong?
Okay. Well, the institute, NICRAT as an institute, just came out in 2023, and the vaccine, HPV vaccination in the country was rolled out also in 2023, and the target age group are 9 to 14 years.
So you're not yet.
But as I said earlier, monitoring, learning, evaluation, and learning process that was actually that we are working on in partnership with National Primary Healthcare Development Agency is part of what will be incorporated. But if you do, at the level of the institute, there was a scoping review that was done of the literature there was no link whatsoever between HPV vaccination. Not only HPV vaccination, this has happened during polio vaccination, so many students. So as someone with childcare background, these were all disputed and just misconceptions. There's actually no proof whatsoever, even in the previous literature. In those countries that have been doing it, there was no established relationship or linkage between infertility.
All right, we have some messages. Thank you very much. We have some messages from our viewers, but just before we, take them, Dr. Seidu, I'd like you to explain to a woman who is watching you at this time. A lot of people, some women may be going through certain symptoms at the moment, but some would confuse it for fibroid, which is another serious condition with women. Speak to us about the symptoms, really, so someone who is battling with it at the moment can, quickly seek help and not mistake it for fibroid, which some women are just used to living with.
Yeah, so when you talk about the symptoms, actually, cervical cancer at the beginning does not have any symptom at all at the beginning. Like I said, by the time symptom appears, it means it has gone to an advanced stage. And that is the whole reason why we are all talking about screening, because you want to take care of it before it happens. That's why we talk about the prevention. Now, during that screening, you may pick up early cancers. Like I said, there's no symptom. And it is those early cancers are the ones that are curable, so they can actually be totally cured. By the time symptoms appear, then we just need to kind of manage the disease because it means it has gone far. So these symptoms, I would list them. One of them is bleeding. So this bleeding happens, it will be an irregular bleeding. Now, for a woman who is menopausal, she has finished seeing her period, so she's an older woman and she starts having bleeding, that woman must run to the hospital because it could be nothing, but it could be cancer of the cervix or another cancer in the lower genital tract of the woman. So bleeding from the vagina is important, both in older women and in younger women. So for younger women, they will have what will look like bleeding in between periods. So between one period and another, every woman knows her normal period cycle. So if she starts to have bleeding in between periods, then she should check it out. It could be cancer. It's not like, it may not be, but it could be, so she needs to check it out. If there is bleeding after having sex, so a woman meets her husband and then she has bleeding, that woman must also check, because it is cervix cancer is one of the reasons of having that kind of bleeding. It could be due to other causes, but it could be due to cancer, and that is why it is very important. If a woman has that, she must go and check it out. Now, as the cancer progresses, also at the time of having the bleeding, a woman may also have vaginal discharge. This discharge is copious, it's a lot of discharge sometimes, and it smells bad. Very, very bad. During the program, Dr. Aisha talked about this discharge. So if you are a woman has a cervix cancer, which approaches me, I know straight on I'll start thinking of cervix cancer because of the smell that will happen. So there could be vaginal discharge that is a lot of water that is coming out, and it could be blood stained, that discharge, and it smells very bad. So that is also another flag. But like I said, by the time all these things are happening, it is already an advanced cancer. Later, a woman will start having back pain. Someone may start having pain during sexual intercourse. They will have back pain. They will have pain in the bones. Sometimes towards the end of the disease, of course, there will be weight loss. The woman is not able to eat. She's very, very sick. When you see her, you know she's a sick woman. So this can happen with other cancers, but can also happen with cervix cancer. But the important thing to note is that is why we talk about prevention, because by the time symptoms appear, it means that stage has gone far. We do not want symptoms to happen. We want the woman to be screened and picked up early, and she can be treated before the symptoms start. We want to pick up before it becomes a cancer. And if it becomes a cancer, then we need to pick it up very early so that it can be cured. We do not want those symptoms to happen. By the time they happen, it means we're at a different stage. And we now start talking about treatment of the cancer, which is now super expensive. Treatment of cancer makes families go bankrupt because they are so expensive. We don't want that to happen. Thank you.
With you quickly,
Can you speak to any success stories, from your center, from the Aminu Kanu Center, where you have been for a long time, that can highlight the impact of early detection or community outreach?
Yeah, so I'll tell you even an experience from one of our colleagues who now had screening, found that there is an early cancer already growing on the cervix, and she got treatment, and she is now training as a gynae oncologist, also to become somebody who is going to be treating other women. So yes, but you see, because we are not screening. Women are not screening, and that is why this task force is there to ensure that we are screening. That is why we are not picking up the early cancers. We are only picking up late cancers. Late cancers are not curable. Late cancers, you can only manage them for so long. But of course, you have issues of funding now. These are very expensive treatments. So the issue of funding the treatment happens. That is why prevention is better than cure. Prevention is much cheaper than cure. And the prevention is to vaccinate and to have screening. And if it is picked up before it becomes the cancer, it is treated. If the early cancer is picked up, it is treated. So we get very little early cancers because very few women currently screen. We want to change that. And that is why we are here. And that is why, and now we are asking you to jump on the ship, because we need to make women aware that this cancer does not show symptoms at the beginning. This cancer, when it shows symptoms, it means it has gone far. That is why, you are a very important part of this task force. Whether you are on it or not, you are important, because you must talk to the woman and you must get us to talk to this woman. You know how to get in there. You have to take us in there with you. Thank you.
The ship, as soon as we sight it. But let's take some messages, Henry. Let's
take some messages that we have now from viewers watching. But Dr. Saidu, while we read the messages, my producer would like to find out from you if, this is transmittable. For someone who already has the virus, maybe not showing symptoms yet, is there a possibility of getting other people infected just away from sex? You already talked about sexual intercourse being a main way of transferring it. Apart from that, is there any other way, it can be contracted?
This virus is like super common. It's very, very common. Once after initiating sexual intercourse by a young lady or a young man, within the first year or two, we get in contact with this virus. Now, getting in contact with the virus and having the virus does not mean it is going to become a cancer. But, and that is because in young people, most young people will have this virus. Sexually active women will have this virus, but in most of the cases, the body's system, the body's immune system, the body's defenses tend to clear the virus. Now, this virus is not just a simple one virus. It has over 200 different types. Among those 200 different types, there are 14 that have that are the ones that actually cause cancer. And so amongst those that cause cancer, we find that all the studies show that even in this country, about 70% of the type of that HPV virus, there are 3 types of the virus that cause about 70% of cancer of the cervix. So that is why the vaccine is targeting those types that are the ones that cause the cancer. So many people get infected with this virus. Our body system clears it. But if the type is 16 and 18, and you won't know who gets 16, who gets 18, and that is why we screen. Our bodies clear them, but sometimes it persists, and after many years, like 20 years or so, it then becomes a cancer. So having the virus, like I said, does not mean having cancer, does not mean you must get a cancer, but it means you are at risk. And that means all of us, anybody, man or woman who is sexually active is exposed to this virus, and it has risk for getting the diseases caused by this virus. Only that some people develop it, some people don't. And because we don't know who will develop and who will not, we want to screen everybody so that those who have it and they are beginning to show signs we can treat before it becomes a cancer, and those who are negative for the virus, virus. It doesn't mean they will never get the virus. No, they may get the virus later, but if we screen is negative, we know that at least in the next 5-10 years, we are not going to have a cancer. We can screen you again at that time. If we find something, then we treat. So it's not just straightforward. You get virus, you get cancer, no. And that is why we have these screening procedures in place, because it's not everybody that gets the virus that will get the cancer, but we don't know who will get the virus and get the cancer and who will not. So we need to screen everyone. Yeah.
That we have, this one says, my wife is having the issue of cervical cancer and I've spent a lot of money. What can I do to key into this initiative? That's coming from Amusan Oluseson from Lagos. Son says, good morning for this enlightening program. I heard the experts mention children, females. Do female babies also need a cervical cancer vaccine? Oh, well, it's been stated 9 to 14 years. So that's coming from Alexander Okpara. So says, good morning, Tim. Please, if a teenager once had HPV, what should they do? All right, so responses. Maybe you take your questions and we'll get the responses from our team.
All right, from my end, I have from Adams Fred. Thank you for your efforts to eliminate cervical cancer. My question is, what are the symptoms? How do you know you have cancer? Tell us more about the vaccine to prevent it. Well, I think most of these questions have been answered. And then from Salma Ihiovi from Kubwa. I really do enjoy Good Morning Nigeria, she says. You guys are doing a wonderful job. Well done. I want to be screened because of the way I feel in my body. I have been to specialists. I was given some prescriptions, but still feel the same way. Okay? And Good Morning Nigerians reads this one. My name is Gideon Jatau. Please, at what age should a girl go for the screening? For over 2 years now, 2 of my family members are seriously down with cancer. One is in TH, Sokoto, receiving her treatment, and the other one in Shika, Zaria. We have almost sold everything for their treatment. I think it's something that the experts will respond to. Perhaps we'll begin with Professor Adewale, if you could quickly respond to some of the questions that have been raised.
Thank you so much. I think some of the questions have been addressed by Dr. Seidu. We do not want people to develop symptoms, because when they develop symptoms, that is an indication that the disease is actually gone far, and that's not what we want. Once you have that, then you should be seen by a specialist. Fortunately, the Federal Ministry of Health has actually directed that all cases of cancer must be managed by a multidisciplinary team. So no single doctor can manage cancer. It's going to be done by a team. So to the person in Lagos, I would advise you to go to Luth. There is an established cancer center in Luth that will look after you. And that center, which was commissioned by President Muhammadu Buhari some years back, is still functioning, very active, one of the best in the country. To the person in Sokoto, Udut also has a very functioning cancer center. Please go there. If you don't have problem, please contact NICRAT. We can assist you. Fortunately, there is also moves to support 3 types of cancer: cervix, breast, and prostate. There is a cancer health fund, which is being managed by NICRAT, and this will support you. So let us know if you require support.
Listening to Dr. Seidu earlier, talk about this virus and how it functions, and a particular type that causes, cervical cancer in women. I'm worried for the men. Is it that the virus has no effect? It doesn't cause any kind of sickness, or if you like, symptom whatsoever, or is it that it's inactive in them?
It's interesting. Dr. Seidu said the virus is super common, and I can assure you that we have men with penile cancer, we have men and women with oral and oropharyngeal cancers as a result of engaging in oral sex. So it is not just the cervix alone where this virus can cause cancer. It can cause cancer at other sites. It could cause vulvar cancer, it can cause vaginal cancer, but the commonest location is the cervix.
that's a note of caution to the men also to also get tested. I think it's time for a break. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Please stay with us.
When we think about the digital economy, you can see it as the marketplace for digital goods and services. And increasingly, it's becoming a force to reckon with and an incredible contributor to economic growth, because we've seen the growth in technology and digital platforms. Technology has it really permeated every aspect of life and business, the way we live, the way we work. And when we talk about the digital economy, we're really talking about leveraging technology and digital platforms in a powerful way to drive growth, to drive solutions to problems, to drive applications, and to provide services.
The digital economy is something that has the potential to help Nigeria leapfrog a lot of its development challenges, right? Because think about what the mobile phone did for Nigeria years ago. That is the potential we have for digital, because it has a way of reducing the barriers to innovation. It has a way of being able to transform service delivery, whether it's government's delivery of services or whether it's services in the health system, where people can use digital to actually be able to see their patients better. But it takes a lot to realize that potential of digital. The first thing is like every other thing, there's an infrastructure you have to build to be able to make sure that digital economy can thrive. Think of something like, capturing that happens in Nigeria, right? Where you capture, people's biometric when they go for a driver's license, when they go for passports, and each of those are separate things. Can we imagine a system where you're able to streamline that and actually have a platform that exchange biometric information that makes it easier for people to access passports, easier for people to register to vote. But today it's very tough, right? But those are basic infrastructure that needs to be invested in. A lot of it is through government and private sector collaborations to make it happen.
If we're looking to accelerate growth in the Nigerian space, we really need to look at enabling the digital economy. That includes providing digital infrastructure, connectivity, because that's the highway, like the highway that everything rides on. We need to think about digital capacity building in terms of the suppliers to the economy and also the consumers within the economy. So a robust digital literacy initiative. The good thing about technology is that, one, it helps you to transcend boundaries. Two, it creates a level playing field, really, because if you create a solution, it's a technology-based solution that is applicable in this environment, that same technology can be applicable, exported to other environments. And, technology platforms also help drive collaboration, right? When we're thinking about innovation, when we're thinking about business growth, collaboration is an important part of that. So when we think about the impacts with the rest of the world, we find that actually technology platforms are giving us an opportunity to engage more actively, to collaborate, to create partnerships, to even export our knowledge and services for people to engage with all the great things I'm talking about technology and digital platforms. They need access, internet access, broadband access. So we need to make sure that access is more available and affordable for the average user.
The most important thing is to think about where you want to go as a country and actually what type of policies are going to help get you there. There are examples of countries who've been able to transform using digital, for example. There are very clear things those countries did to be able to make it happen. So a lot of this, the pathway to be able to solve these problems are not mysterious, right? It takes courage of the policymakers to be able to understudy some of these things and bring in the policies that work to be able to help them.
many thanks for staying tuned. It's still Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of the NTA. And our topic this morning is on partnership to eliminate cervical cancer in Nigeria. Just in case you have questions, comments, or suggestions, whatever it is, feel free to send us a message. There's the numbers on your screen. You can send us either an SMS or a WhatsApp message, and it will be dealt with. Our guest is very much with us, and I'd like to get to Professor Adewale now, because I mean he's in charge of all of this effort to eliminate cervical cancer in Nigeria by 2030. Prof, speak to us about funds. I mean, all of this would not be possible without adequate funding. I understand there's a kind of partnership, but tell us, do you think that you would need more support? Victor already spoke about subnationals, buying into all of this and, throwing in their weight and not just leaving everything to the federal government and the partners that you have. But let us know, do you have all that it takes, to carry this out? I mean, the women in Nigeria, huge number, getting to the hinterlands, a difficult task, which will require a lot of money. So let us know, is this sustainable?
It's beyond money. We need human resources. We need expertise. We need commitment. We need political will. We need political commitment and action. We have political will. We have political commitment. We have political action. And we are very fortunate to have the First Lady keen into this agenda through the Renewed Hope Initiative of Her Excellency. We have committed people in the partnership. So what we now need is to drive down at state level, and we are beginning to engage the state. We have assurances that state governments will buy into this, and then we'll have the local government also buying into it. And also with support from international partners. If you look at the breakdown, 60% of the funds will be required for tertiary care. And that's why we are suggesting that if we invest more in prevention, both primary and secondary, which only constitute about a third of the total cost, then Nigeria stands to save a lot of money. If you look at the 2.2 trillion that we mentioned, I think just about 700 of them billion will be expended on both primary and secondary prevention, and that's between now and 2030. But this good side is that those infrastructure that we build for cervical cancer will also be the same infrastructure that you require to treat prostate cancer, treat colorectal cancer, lung cancer, breast cancer. So it's not just for cervix alone. If you have an X-ray machine, that X-ray machine will be used for other things, even those who have fractures. So we are talking about a spillover effect of this infrastructure. So it is going to, this investment in cancer care will have beneficial effect on other sectors. It's going to strengthen the healthcare system and serve as a catalyst to broaden the effectiveness and the efficacy of our healthcare system.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your insight. Let me get back to Dr. Waziri here in the studio. I'm wondering, what has been the role of research in all of these, shaping policy on cervical cancer, and how are these insights being translated into action?
Yes. Research has a significant role when it comes to not just the cervical cancer, virtually every component of human health care. But to be precise on the area of cervical cancer, for example, we've just discussed about the barriers to the uptake of these initiatives that aims at preventing or eliminating cervical cancer. So research in behavioral sciences, what people's perceptions, their knowledge, what they know about it, will really streamline and guide a national specific in terms of those initiatives, those recommendations that will specifically target our national peculiarities. In terms of looking at the nature of the country, the religious background of the people, the social background. So this is another area where research just on behavioral science will go a long way in streamlining and ensuring the effectiveness of most of our intervention, which of course will be from the policies and the practices. So the research in that area would drive this policy formulation.
Is it being
and
deployed effectively though?
Well, quite sure, you know, as a new initiative, as I mentioned earlier, already the Institute has already started deploying most of these research components. There are a lot of researches that are ongoing in cancer care with the coming of the Institute. They are, for the first time, we are having researches, although not really specific to cancer, to cervical cancer, in cancer genomic researches. We've already conducted a pilot study across. So the same thing will be extended towards cervical cancer. But looking at cervical cancer, presently now already there are researches that are ongoing. We've really concluded on them, and part of which during the last World Cancer Day, we've had a screening activity, just like what was mentioned during the course of the conversation. The issue of the strain, quite sure there are quite a number of strains, which most of these vaccines are actually dependent of the commonest strain that are established across the globe, but we still need to conduct researches in terms of what are those strains that causes most infections within the country. Perhaps we can derive conclusion from the previous or other parts of the world, but it's always good at the Institute we identify that as a gap, and we're setting up mechanisms to ensure that by doing that research work, we will ensure that the vaccines that we are actually administrating are really targeting and are means to solve our peculiar problem, the specific strains that are found. That's in the area of vaccination. So also in the area of screening, quite sure, there's really the research that will be conducted. The research has a potential impact in ensuring that the techniques, the methodologies that are employed, so also the implementation science also. This is a new initiative. The Institute is planning along the partnership. There is a research group in the partnership which eventually will partner or will collaborate with the Institute, ensuring that what we are setting up now, the implementation science research will ensure that there are learnings that will be derived or that will be generated from the implementation process of this, which will inform streamlining the strategies when it comes to moving forward that will ensure sustainability. In terms of healthcare financing also, there will be a lot of learnings. So research is not just only in the area of the core scientific knowledge, which is also equally important, and also research in terms of implementation science, in terms of behavioral science, which when you put them together, they will have a potential of shaping and strengthening the effectiveness of the intervention of the collective activities of this partnership towards eliminating cervical cancer.
All right, many thanks, Dr. Saidu. Dr. Waziri, let's get to Dr. Saidu now. As we begin to round off the conversation, I'd like to ask about, manpower. When Professor Adewale was speaking, he talked about that. I don't know, achieving this in 2030 with the Jacqua syndrome with us. Do we have enough medical, personnel, to deal with this situation? Of course, when you talk about medical personnel, you also want to ask about infrastructure. If we have, adequate infrastructure across all the geopolitical zones in the country, to deal with treatment, of course, which is part of eliminating cervical cancer. But while you respond to that question, there's this very important question here from one of our viewers. It says, good morning, I met the program halfway. It's interesting. Is there a functional test center in Abuja, and what is the financial implication for the test? Barika Duko is asking that. So I hope you respond to both at the same time.
Okay. So I think the first thing I want to say is that before I talk to that, and just a minute, is that the virus itself, it's passed from person to person via skin contact. So you don't need to have an actual sexual intercourse to get it. Even just contact of skin in the genitals can cause the virus to be transmitted. The second thing is that once it becomes a cancer, it is not cancer is not transmissible. It's not contagious. So when a cancer is not contagious, because a cancer is when there's issue the cells of our body have changed. That is not contagious. So I just want to make that differentiation. when you talk about the centers in Abuja that can do the test, so I'm not very conversant with the centers in Abuja, but it is available in the screening itself is available in National Hospital and in all the secondary health facilities. When you go in, just ask the doctors that or the nurses that you want to screen, and then the screening will happen. But the important thing is that we are now trying to streamline it so that you as a person will just wake up, you know where to go. That is one of the aims of the task force, to make sure that this is available in every center, and you can just wake up in your community, so you don't have to travel. What we are aiming at, you don't have to travel from Kubwa to National Hospital to go and do the test, or to Garki Hospital. You can do it within a Kubwa Community Hospital. So that is what we are driving at. We may not have that right now everywhere in the country, but that is where we are going to. Now, when you talk about the health personnel that are to be done, so we know that the JAPA movement is still going on, but we still have a lot of resources in this country. And of course, and I know the government is also doing everything possible to keep people that train here, to keep them home. And those that are outside to come back, there are many moves are going on in the government to bring people back home, so that they are able to serve the country. So one of the main things, apart from the publicity and the awareness that I talked about, so you see, you people are the number one on our list. The next number on our list is the healthcare, manpower development, and and that development is not just doctors; it's everything from the community health worker, because a lot of these things can be done at the community level by the community health worker. So all we need to do is to go down to the community and train these people at the community health level. By the time you start looking for the doctors at the secondary and tertiary care, now we are going into a different realm of not just prevention, but we are going into treatment. So most of the screening, the vaccination is not given by doctors, so we have manpower that can give that. The screening can be done at primary care level and can be done by the community health workers also. Then at the nurses also are very, very important in this. So developing the manpower in community health workers and nurses is a very big thing that we are looking at, and that is one of our main aims. Now, when it comes to doctors, we have many oncologists in this country now, and many young people are interested in becoming oncologists, and they are being trained. This training is also happening within the country as well as outside the country. And I promise you, a lot of our doctors and the specialists will come back home, because things are being put in place to see that people return home and give back to the communities that we all grow up in. So while it is a very big challenge, I cannot say it is not, but I'm very optimistic that we are also kind of going head on with that. And I remember Professor Adewale, even while he was minister, since that time, they have started putting in place measures to bring people back home, even if it is come and go. Eventually, people want to come. I promise you, a lot of people that are outside want to come back home, but they just need a little bit of change. And since when Prof was the minister, this has started being put in place, and I think it is beginning to yield some fruit now. So it's a big problem, but it's not insurmountable. We are going to go over it. I promise you that.
Professor Seidu, Dr. Seidu, thank you very much. I have a question for Professor Adewale from one of our viewers who says, thank you, Good Morning Nigeria, for this powerful and insightful program this morning. Please, Professor Adewale said there is support for 3 types of cancer, and breast cancer is part of it. How can I get that support? Thank you, and that is from Henrietta Yola, Adamawa State.
Thank you so much. You can get the support by visiting the Federal Medical Center in Yola. All our federal medical centers and teaching hospitals are into this support system. Go there and you get the support. But it is only for 3 types of cancer: breast, cervix, and prostate for now. As soon as we have more resources, more funds, we will expand the portfolio.
Clearly, is vaccination, screening, and treatment for cervical cancer absolutely free?
For now, vaccination is free. free to the person getting vaccinated, but at a cost being supported by government. Nothing is free anywhere in the world. Somebody is paying for it. But to the end user, it is free. Screening, we're working to make screening free, but the committee on screening, of which Dr. Seidu is a member, is actually working on the guideline, and when we're done, we'll come out with a guideline for the country.
Prof, let me stay with you one more time. What role do you envision for schools, for traditional leaders and religious institutions, in mobilizing communities against cervical cancer?
We cannot do it alone, and the movement involves traditional leaders, community leaders, political leaders. Every leader that we can really engage will have to be part of it. You are a leader even in your own right, and that's why we're asking you to be part of this movement. So everybody, and at the launch, we had traditional leaders being part of it, and we shall continue to engage them.
Many thanks, Professor Adewale. You and Dr. Seidu have said we're a part of this whole movement. I hope we'll have another Zoom meeting at the end of this program so we can discuss about all of that. Anyways, it's time to go. Dr. Seidu, as we round up the conversation, what's the average cost of screening? I mean, a lot of women, the economic realities. Just speak to us. What is the average cost at the moment? Is it something that will probably tear a woman's pocket? And speak to women generally that are watching you at this time as regards their health.
To women, I want to say, ladies, we need to take care of ourselves. These cancers, breast cancer, cervix cancer, take us away early from our families. And now the cost of cervical cancer is not just that a woman dies, but it has increased a lot of our orphans that are caused by cancer. So women die, leave young children. That it does not augur well for our communities. It does not augur well for our country. So women, we must take care of ourselves, but also we implore that to the government, to the leaders, to everyone, to men, that women's health should be a priority to you. And I promise you, these cancers are not going to be killing women if we as a country, we decide that the health of a woman is important to us. The health of a woman is important to the community, is important to the country. It's important to making us who we are. If a woman passes away in the family is gone. I mean, as in gone. Because now you have children. Who takes care of those children? So the woman may be a voice that is behind the scene, but she is the powerhouse. Women are the powerhouse of our country. They are a powerhouse of our development. Take care of women's health and you take care of the development. Most of our issues, if we take care of women's health, I promise you they will go away. We will have better children. We will have good communities. So women, we take care of ourselves, but I implore men and leaders who are mainly men to put women's health as a priority in whatever we do. Now, the cost of screening varies. Honestly, I cannot give you a figure now. I don't know if Prof has got any figure, but my aim and our aim as a task team is to see that screening becomes free in this country so that a woman can wake up in the morning on her way to the market or on her way to the work, branch into a primary care hospital in her community without taking a taxi or taking a pep to go anywhere, get screened, and she goes away with a result. Whether if she needs treatment, then she can be sent for treatment. If she does not, then she goes about her normal duty. That is what we are aiming at. And we are so optimistic that that is going to happen. Other people have done it. We can do it. We have the resources. We have the manpower. We have the knowledge. We have the tools in our hands. What is important now is to help you, to help us. We want you to help us to get to the community so that people believe in what we are doing. And with that, we are going to ensure that these things come to women in their homes, in their communities, free of charge. It's a long way. It's difficult, but we are going to get there. I am optimistic about that.
The costing for HPV DNA is done on the base of 20,000 per test.
Prof, I'm sorry, we've run completely out of time. I just wanted to tell Dr. Seidu that I am now convinced that men are an endangered species. Who looks after the men, by the way? But it's okay. I don't know if we have 30 seconds, just so Dr. Waziri can tell us, where you derive the confidence that we could end cervical cancer by 2030. In 30 seconds.
Yes, very briefly, where we derive the confidence basically lies on the commitment and the willingness of the present Nigerian government under the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President. Commitment in terms of support for cancer care, support for research in cancer, support for treatment of cancer, support for preventive services, because very soon government will roll out routinization effort at routinizing prevention through the partnership at the primary healthcare level and through routine cancer screening at even tertiary healthcare level. Another source of that is the commitment and the dedication, the perseverance of the leadership of the partnership for elimination of cancer in
much,
Nigeria.
Dr. Usman Waziri, Director, Cancer Prevention and Control. NICRAT, it was a pleasure to have you. Keep up the good work. And of course, from Ibadan, Professor Isaac Adewale, Chairman, National Task Force on Cervical Cancer Elimination. Of course, it was a pleasure to have you, Prof, and we look forward to having you in the next 6 months and 1 year to let us know what the progress has been so far. And from our Kano studio, Dr. Rekia Seidu, Senior Clinical Research Officer, Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, University of Cape Town. Thank you so much, ma'am, and we do sincerely appreciate your insights and all that you're doing for women and their health. All right, so that's our package on Good Morning Nigeria this Friday. Many thanks for watching. Live locked on the NTA and enjoy your weekend.
You are Yenre John, okay? And I am Victor, so we'll see you again on Monday.